America just sent a huge warning to the rest of the world, and no one even noticed. Literally hours ago, Donald Trump appointed a Bitcoiner to the Federal Reserve, but that's not all. He also made a crucial change that will affect your bank. But before we get to all that, let's roll this clip of what U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just recently said about Bitcoin.
We are going big on digital assets. So Trump administration has made digital assets a priority. Past administration starved and almost made extinct a lot of these companies and pushed it offshore. So what we want to do is apply the highest U.S. regulatory and AML standards to digital assets.
You heard him correctly. And guys, I've been telling you guys this ever since the Digital Working Group asset report came out, that it looks like they are planning this in lockstep with what's everything going on. They got to drop the regulations here, and then they're going to go, as Scott Bessent said, all in on, he said crypto and digital assets, but we all know it's really Bitcoin. That's the real signal here. Now, this next move is very interesting. What we just saw came out yesterday that might have a lot of people scratching their heads. Like, why are we even talking about this? But Trump just tapped the top economic advisor, and this is New York Times, to join the Fed's board of governors. So if it's confirmed, this is going to be a temporary position, but Stephen Marin is the current chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, and he would temporarily fill a position left vacant. Remember, we were telling you this last week, that a Fed board governor stepped down before their time went up in January 31st. This lady, Adriana Kugler, she stepped down early, and to fill that position right now, Trump has nominated Stephen Marin to be the new governor of the Federal Reserve. And again, remember what I've been telling you guys. I've been going down this Mark Moss rabbit hole of the Mar-a-Lago Accords, what they're actually doing, what's the meaning behind this whole push for stable coins and legislation around Bitcoin. It seems like it's becoming a real thing in real time. So this guy, Stephen Marin, of course, he's going to get put in, but that's not really the news story here. Yes, okay, who really cares about the Fed? We're Bitcoiners. I thought we were never going to have to talk about the Fed. I thought we're trying to end the Fed. Well, yes, that is kind of happening in real time. But the interesting part about this is check out this guy's Twitter, guys. So here we go. Stephen Marin on Twitter. Look at some of the stuff he's been tweeting for years now. Hashtag Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin fixes this. Talking about, filling in some Bitcoin shorts on the ETFs. Like, this guy sounds like a Bitcoiner. Now, when you really go into this kind of news story here, his track record is really interesting. So the Bloomberg dropped this article. I can't pull it up on the show because, some guidelines and some rules and stuff here. But there is some interesting stuff. Actually, I was able to pull it up. So Caitlin Long tweeted about this. And what I found super interesting here, oh, yeah, I can't actually pull it up. Okay, yeah, I forgot. It's behind the paywall. There was this screen grab that Caitlin Long added to it. And when I was double checking this morning to actually get the right screen grab, it looked like they changed this portion of the article on Bloomberg, which is kind of interesting. This was tweeted last night, and then that portion just mysteriously vanished from the Bloomberg article. But anyways, the part of what Caitlin Long was screenshotting, she goes, wow, it seems Marin gets it based on the below. The Fed bank's regulator certainly became political in Operation Choke Point 2.0. Again, when I went to verify this morning, this portion of the Bloomberg article completely vanished. Part of it was there, but this portion that Caitlin Long screen grab wasn't a part of the article. Now, who knows if they saw this and then they edited it later. But anyways, here is the screen grab. Marin has been critical of the Fed's track record in recent years. In a March 2024 paper, Marin and Dan Katz, now chief of staff at the Treasury Department, laid out a 24-page plan for reforming the Fed that blames policy errors at the central bank on, quote, groupthink. It also takes the Fed to task for having expanded into political areas that are beyond its remit. Quote, the Federal Reserve's record in recent years raises questions about whether it's been operating in line with the best practices of central bank independence. Then they called for the separation of monetary policy from banking regulation and supervision at the Fed by stripping the board of its authority over the latter. The change, which would require legislation action, would, quote, avoid unnecessarily polluting the monetary policy process. This is something Nika has been on a tear recently of the Fed and Jerome Powell acting political. Of course, we got some videos coming out where people close to Jerome Powell are saying he doesn't like Trump. A lot of the stuff he's doing is acting political. And then, you know, as all the Bitcoiners, like a future member of the Federal Reserve, has just been nominated to be the new board governor, tweeting about Bitcoin and also talking about Fed independent monetary policy here. This is one of his reports he dropped last year. And then really going further on this, Trump also dropped another executive order. We covered the 401k executive order allowing alternative assets to flow into, alternative assets to be used for the 401k, specifically, of course, Bitcoin. But he also dropped this interesting executive order last night as well. And Caitlin Long, again, all over this because, of course, she tried to get a federal regulated bank fully backed, fully reserved, and they shut her out. They're like, this isn't going to happen again, angling towards this has all been political. They are absolutely terrified of Bitcoin infiltrating the traditional financial system because they can't control it. And that's the whole thing. If they can't control it, then what are they going to do? They're going to try to regulate it to the corner, make sure people don't use it, scare them away from using Bitcoin. Anyways, this executive order is titled Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. And Caitlin Long, digging through this, did a great breakdown on Twitter. And she goes, digging through Trump's debanking executive order, it contains some hidden gems. The first one is a doozy. It shows the White House understands it can't trust the federal banking regulators. It brought in an overseer to keep them honest with good reason. It's overseeing the Secrecy Banking Act, a non-bank regulator, and this speaks volumes. POTUS understands the abuses of power that gave rise to debanking run deep in the agencies. Look up the political contributions of Fed and FDIC staff. They lean heavily Democratic. Now, going further, it's not just anyone in charge at the SBA. It's Kelly Loeffler. Now, she is a Bitcoiner. Yes, the White House just gave a Bitcoiner this task. Again, we have two things coming out of the federal government right now. We have a Bitcoiner being tapped to be a part of the Fed as a Fed board governor. And now we have another Bitcoiner in charge of the SBA. This is a huge tell. The White House doesn't trust the three federal banking agencies, the FDIC, the Fed, and the OCC to clean their own houses. But the SBA has jurisdiction, so it's being inserted as a super regulator above the other three. Tactically, this is a creative move, and POTUS is serious. Now, this is kind of what we've been talking about here for a while on this show. Whatever do you think about Trump and what all of his other political kind of takes are and all the things he's doing? What we are seeing is that he's very serious about Bitcoin. We all know his kids are fully into Bitcoin. We know his his media group that he has, I believe, 40% of the shareholder voting power to. They're buying Bitcoin. They're doing a Bitcoin treasury strategy. Now it looks like the people that are going to oversee the Fed, she's a Bitcoiner. Now, I think this is, quote unquote, the Trump card here. Trump is actively pushing Bitcoin because I think he knows what we know. The fiat system, it can't keep going how it's going. We know there's a huge federal deficit. We know that the Fed is supposedly independent and they're doing whatever they can to essentially, for lack of better words, bankrupt all of us here, continue to print money, continue to have high interest rates. And Trump has been very vocal on the opposite, that he wants lower interest rates. He wants to bring, production back to the U.S., and a lot of the things he's doing is really revolving around unleashing Bitcoin into the U.S. Again, he's been publicly saying, we want to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world. And then my boy, Uncle Jack Cruz, comes out and he goes, since freeing Ross, this is the best news of the John Trump administration, which is this guaranteeing fair banking practices. So there's a lot of things to kind of unpack here. But it seems like the move towards Bitcoin in America, at least from the Trump administration, is going full force. Remember, Scott Bessent, he's been very vocal about making Bitcoin the crypto capital of the world, going all in on Bitcoin. We're seeing stuff come out of the federal government. Of course, the working group, digital asset working group report, laying the regulatory clarity to unleash Bitcoin and, of course, stable coins here into the U.S. And then, of course, ending Operation Choke Point 2.0, stopping debanking based on just being affiliated with Bitcoin. It's starting to build a really good case that Trump does understand what's going on here, and he does want to unleash Bitcoin into America, which, you know us, Nico's more of a single issue voter. I'm still more of a, hey, they need to do a little more for me to even want to vote here. But I like the direction we're going towards. This does make me feel like they are seriously taking Bitcoin as a serious contender here. It is becoming that mainstream fixture that we've all thought about. And I know the chat a lot of times is like, this is not what we want. We want the separation of money and state. How is this a good thing? If the U.S. unleashes Bitcoin and we have a safer place to use Bitcoin, it's going to be incredible moving forward for everyone out there. So interesting stuff. I know we came here to end the Fed, but I think the first step might be getting Bitcoiners into the Fed. Everyone's been saying maybe Saylor should take Jerome Powell's job. Of course, Jerome Powell still is going to be around for about another year unless he does resign. I know there's a lot of push for him to resign, cut interest rates. But now Trump does have a majority in the Fed governor board. And if he is very serious about all of this Bitcoin stuff, again, he's been projecting this, he's been telegraphing his moves for a while now. It seems like we might be in a very favorable place in regard to the Fed. Of course, we know they're going to print more money, but if they lower the interest rates, free money, liquidity injection into the economy, assets are going to rip. This is just how it's going to work. So interesting stuff. Maybe the first step to ending the Fed is getting a Bitcoiner in the Fed. I don't know. So what's your thoughts on all this? I know you're not a Fed expert here, but just on the basis, just on the surface of what does a Fed, a Bitcoiner joining the Fed mean to you?
You know, I'm definitely not a Fed expert, but I am a people expert as, you know, being a woman. And I just love that Trump is playing fire with fire, and he's not doing it in this chaotic way. He's doing it completely without confrontation by infiltrating the Fed. Like you said, he's doing it in a way where they can't really be like, wait a minute, but you can't do that. No. He's telling them, yes, I can totally put this person in power, and he's going to pump our bags, essentially. If Jerome Powell isn't going to bend the knee, then we're going to do it from the inside out, and we're going to have their own people do it for us. And what the Fed doesn't realize is that they're actually sitting on gold. You know, figuratively speaking, they're sitting on this orange gold, and they're better positioned than anybody in the world as an institution and as a government to buy Bitcoin and to get ahead while they can. You know, right now we're seeing like near all-time highs, $116,000 Bitcoin, but we're speculating up to $200,000 Bitcoin. So there's such a huge opportunity here for the Fed to get ahead of China, of India, Saudi Arabia, all these countries that are also positioning themselves to purchase Bitcoin and say, hey, you know what? We're going to be the first country to actually officially implement this in a way that other countries will also lead the way. Obviously, El Salvador was the first to do it. And, you know, Nayib Bukele is a genius for what he did. And we've seen the proof of work and how this has worked in his country. And I think that once people start connecting the dots through somebody on the inside, they're going to start to not only buy Bitcoin for themselves, but push for the Fed to buy Bitcoin for the country.
Yeah, I mean, that is
through the Treasury, obviously.
It does seem like that is where things are going. And again, remember what we just covered this week around the Fed talking about revaluations of gold reserves. We do have some more interesting news that we're going to cover in a bit about this, but it is looking like they are fully embracing Bitcoin. I know for a while, and the chat's kind of saying like Trump doesn't understand it. It's the people that are around him.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't have to understand it. He at
I
the
think
end of
he
the
kinda
day,
does.
well, I think he just wants to pump his own bags.
I'm
You
with
know what I'm
that.
saying? So like I think he understands like, damn, I have this Trump coin. How am I going to make it go up? Oh,
Trump coin.
let me just like look at the history of how other shit coins go up. Oh, it's when Bitcoin goes up. All right, so how do I make this happen? And the dominoes start to fall. And it's just it's kind of like following its logical conclusion here, and we just have to be patient and wait. This show is all about patience and hopium. Um, we're actually teaching people yoga on the side, breathing during a bull market that hasn't fully manifested itself yet. But yeah, I'm waiting for the Fed to start printing money and to get Bitcoiners fully infiltrated in, because we have no idea the potential of what their influence can actually achieve.
Yeah, and I mean, look, as much, and actually Sophie and I had this conversation, I don't know, about a month ago, and I keep kind of bringing this up on the show. As much as we try to warn everyone out there that inflation's coming, the debasement of your local currency, the US dollar, like it's on the horizon. It does make Bitcoin pump. More liquidity is going to make the price go up. And I haven't really looked at the M2 global liquidity chart recently, but I think it's still kind of in lockstep, of course, with like a 3-month delay. But it does seem like this is all kind of playing out to some coordinated plan here. And Bitcoin is like the real Trump card here. Maybe the real Trump coin here is Bitcoin and stable coins. And so it's very interesting to see this stuff play out, especially when we've seen it telegraphed. We've been speculating about if this is actually what's going on. And then every other day and every other week, we're seeing a new kind of data point on that chart showing us like this is actually playing out exactly as it's been foretold. And Bitcoin is the freaking Trojan horse in this. Like Bitcoin is the Trojan horse right now. I think whether Trump understands it or not is beyond the point of the conversation. The people around him are. And remember, guys, personnel equals policy. And as we've seen, the people around Trump, whether they're all good or not, is probably up for debate. But some of the key players, they're starting to all really become aligned with this Bitcoin thing. We all know Lutnick's in there. You know, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he's been pro Bitcoin. We have J.D. Vance as the VP. He holds Bitcoin. Now we have another Fed governor that's on Trump's side that is a Bitcoiner. It's all kind of aligning that, yeah, maybe we don't understand what their back end ideas are, but the plumbing is being laid out right now. And I do think that if we don't see, I don't know, before the midterm, something on the lines of U.S. Treasuries being backed by Bitcoin here, it might be a little too late. Like if they finally do that final move of, well, actually it's 2 moves. The strategic Bitcoin reserve announcement, of course, maybe reevaluating their goals to do a quote budget neutral way of stacking Bitcoin, and something along the lines of Bitcoin bonds here, then it can be kind of just thought of as all rhetoric. But it does seem like this is where it's going. So as we've kind of been saying on the show for a while, it started as a meme, simply Bitcoin. What was it? Your Bitcoin, tomorrow's Bitcoin news today. It does seem like we are seeing the signal here, and there's a lot of noise throughout this conversation. There's people that don't like what's Trump doing. They'll kind of FUD it as much as possible. But when it comes to the Bitcoin stuff, if you follow the money here in regards to what they're doing around Bitcoin, I think you can really start to see where the trajectory of the US is going, where the traditional financial world is going. And of course, Bitcoin is going to be at the heart of that. So I hope you guys are watching this and feeling more bullish. I know the price is kind of stagnant right now.
Well, these things take time, right? And I've said this time and time again. I think that the catalyst to hyper Bitcoinization is essentially going to be a world of pain. And what's going to happen when the Fed ends up printing all of this money? They're actually going to make people, regular people, especially people who don't have Bitcoin, suffer. And then that might be the catalyst that makes people realize, damn, like, why am I holding dollars? Why am I saving in dollars? Why do I have bonds when the US currency is actually worth nothing. Why they can print it for free while I have to work for it. So, that bit of pain will get people to actually do something about it. And by doing something about it, I mean buy Bitcoin and put it into self-custody. And when the Fed starts doing it, all of these institutions start legitimizing Bitcoin, they're going to feel safer and less like, they're taking a huge risk. And they're also going to be incentivized to actually learn about it, because don't forget, a lot of people don't get into Bitcoin because there is this learning curve and there is this uncomfortability that I now have to change my entire paradigm of what I understood finances were and change it to this totally different new world. And people are only going to get there when they start feeling the pain of hyperinflation. Look at what happened in countries like Venezuela. When the Bolivar started to hyperinflate, people started to automatically, it wasn't even like a discussion, like everybody just started doing it. They started saving in dollars. And so I think, there might be kind of like a stepping stone here, like Nico has said, where people will, maybe save and tether, but they'll just realize that that's a redundancy. They might just go straight to Bitcoin and use tether as the daily currency or whatever. But Bitcoin ultimately is going to be the hardest store of value and where people will actually have their savings. And the more the government legitimizes that, the more these huge government institutions legitimize that, the less scared people are going to be to take that next step.
Totally. So sorry. The chat is
is the chat misbehaving?
They are totally misbehaving, and I'm getting cooked in the chat today.
Why?
They want 2 Sophies, no OPTI. So hey, that's why you got your own show. And also, shouts out to everyone who watched Sophie's show. She's killed it.
Guys.
She's doing incredible work, and more of Sophie on the channel is coming, guys. So relax. Be nicer to me today. And it is Friday. I'm trying to put a good show on. Anyways, guys, of course, we got a lot of good news coming out here. Like I said, there is a very real conversation going on about the U.S. gold reserve. Saylor went on Bloomberg this morning and dropped, I would say, an awesome clip. And then again, we're reeling this back into this whole budget neutral way to stack Bitcoin. We got some crazy news coming out of Jack Dorsey's block, doing some great work there. And then at the end, Sophie and I were chatting about it this morning. CNBC dropped an interesting article talking about cycles here. So we'll have some conversations about that later. And of course, guys, before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, smash the like button, comment on this show. Is the Bitcoin prophecy unfolding right as we see? Are the Mar-a-Lago Accords in full effect? And of course, hit the subscriber button, guys. We drop the most content. We appreciate every single one of you guys. And on that note, we do want to give a huge shout out to our boys over at Bitcoin Well. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simplybtc. Make sure you're buying real Bitcoin. The reason we love these guys is because they have never lost Bitcoin. They will never lose Bitcoin because they never hold your Bitcoin. Whenever you send them dollars, they send you Bitcoin directly to your cold storage. This is the best way to get your Bitcoin. Make sure you never get rug pulled. This is the ultimate way. And they're the only exchange in North America that does this. So this is the safest way to get your Bitcoin. Of course, scan the QR code there. And you get 3 chances to win 1 million sats in the Bitcoin wishing well. And if you are watching this show and you haven't gone 150% in of your life savings into Bitcoin, and you're sitting
then we're not doing our job right.
Yeah, and you're sitting on, $50K plus of fiat right now, and you want to ape into Bitcoin, make sure you get in touch with the Infinite Well team. They are a white glove service, OTC. You need $50,000 and buy a Bitcoin in chunks, and they will hold your hand throughout that process to make sure that you are secured, that you can hold this for generational wealth and pass it on to your children and grandchildren. All right, and then let's get into the numbers.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
All right, guys, we're over here on Clark Moody's dashboard. Of course, the current Bitcoin price is 116,240, which means we are a negative 5.5% decline from all-time high. Starting to feel bullish, Sophie, I'm not going to lie. And the current block height is 909,200, 909,200. And the current market cap is $2.31 trillion. Still a long way to run here in the terms of market cap. Anyways, let's talk about this. So Saylor went on Bloomberg this morning. And I don't know if you guys heard. Maybe let me pull this up, though, real quick, just to kind of give some context here, because it is going to be a big portion of the rest of this segment. So Trump just added a 39% tariff on gold bars, and it's wreaking havoc on COMEX. So U.S. government's decision to impose tariffs on Swiss gold imports could cause major disruptions in the gold market, according to our economist and gold advocate Peter Schiff, with a fear of a surge in premiums and scramble to cover short positions on the COMEX. So interesting stuff. Again, connect all of this with Bitcoin. You're seeing a new Fed governor that's a Bitcoiner. You're seeing Bitcoin will now be able to be added to 401ks. We got good regulations coming out around Bitcoin. And we're starting to see the U.S. Treasury come out here, Scott Bessent, say, hey, we are going all in on Bitcoin. We've seen the stablecoin regulations come out, and now they're throwing tariffs on gold bar imports. It's starting to look like they are actively strangling gold, and it depends how you look at this, because we know central banks have been hoarding gold right now,
or they're trying to pump the price of gold.
Well,
what happens when you put
that's the next portion. That's where I'm going here.
They're trying to do everything to reevaluate gold. Remember, to potentially sell gold for Bitcoin. They're coming up with quote unquote creative ways to what's it called, net neutral or whatever, budget neutral buy Bitcoin or whatever. That's all jargon for they're trying to stack some sats.
Yeah, and gold's at all-time high. Okay, with that in mind, let's hear Saylor's take on this, and then we're gonna come back to this conversation.
On some of the other big news from today, a lot has certainly happened on this Friday, but one of those is what's going on in the gold market right now. You have the Trump administration ruling that gold bars will be subject to tariffs as well, these reciprocal tariffs, so imports of gold will be tariffed, and that's really sending shockwaves through the gold ecosystem. Gold and Bitcoin are also often compared to one another. Bitcoin called digital gold, for example. I wonder if you think this has any ripple effects, positive or negative, for Bitcoin.
It does. Bitcoin is digital gold. It's going to accelerate the migration of capital from physical gold to digital gold. Bitcoin lives in cyberspace. No tariffs in cyberspace. The big appeal of Bitcoin is it's not physical. It doesn't have weight. You can settle anywhere with anybody in a few minutes. And so gold has always been too heavy, too slow, and you can't really ship it across an ocean. And if you do, now you're getting tariffs. So I really think it just reminds everybody why the digital version of gold is better than actual physical gold. And I think it's going to catalyze a new wave of institutional adoption of Bitcoin.
All right, crypto is stateless. It's hard to tariff. Michael, have to leave it there. Really enjoyed speaking with you, though.
Gotta love it. Can't tariff Bitcoin.
Nope.
Guys, it's all going according to plan. It's all going according to plan.
It's almost like they watch the show. Do you think Trump watches our show?
I doubt it. He's got some good Bitcoiners around him.
Maybe Barron does. Shout out
Barron. Shouts out to the next goat, Barron. Look, this is what Sophie was saying before the clip is exactly what a lot of us Bitcoiners are seeing. Again, remember, a Fed Reserve note came out this week saying, hey, we should revalue the gold here. And we will, use that as a budget neutral way to acquire Bitcoin. Now, Dr. Jack Cruz. I absolutely love Dr. Jack Cruz. I was playing his interview this morning, so he's like, who is that? I'm like, it's Jack Cruz. Come on. He's saying this exact same thing. So the Trump administration just told us they were looking to acquire Bitcoin with a, quote, budget neutral strategy. Well, they may have just found one. Engineer a short squeeze on gold, revalue the gold holdings at peak, and buy Bitcoin. 70% of the world's gold is refined in Switzerland. So what happens when you slap Swiss exports with 39% tariffs, including the gold bars that New York-based COMEX accepts for deliveries? Suddenly, the gold shoulders in the United States have a much harder time sourcing gold to cover their positions, which means they need to buy existing spot or futures, driving the price higher, and an aggressive short squeeze could force gold towards $6,000 an ounce, which would allow the U.S. to revalue its holdings to $1.5 trillion, which would then be deposited into the U.S. Treasury's account. And then what could they buy with $1.5 trillion? A ton of Bitcoin for the Treasury. Why has Donald Trump put these strange 39% tariffs on Switzerland, nearly the highest in the world, if not a coming tactic to force a gold short squeeze so they can revalue their holdings and acquire a dominant Bitcoin position? Savages should be asking this question right now. That is the exact question we're asking. We were speculating earlier this week, like, why would we get this strange note coming out of the Federal Reserve about potentially reevaluating our gold reserves? We've been hearing Bo Hines talk about budget neutral ways to acquire Bitcoin. We now have the new Fed governor. He is a Bitcoiner. We have Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury, saying, hey, we're going to go all in on Bitcoin. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm Charlie Day here and I'm just connecting too many dots here. Maybe I'm too far down the rabbit hole. But again, it seems like they are 100% telegraphing and projecting what they're going to do. It seems like it's almost already written in stone. And Sophie, who isn't the huge macro nerd that I have become, can already see where the end game is going. I think this is the end game, Sophie.
I just don't see it going any other way. Also, I have a question. Are these tariffs like for the import or the export of gold? Like, is it gold coming into the US that's getting it should be coming out, right?
No, we want the gold to come in here.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the tariffs are if you sell it out, right?
Trump's tariffs on 100-ounce and 1 kilo gold bars could wreak havoc on the COMEX. Price would soar. So they'd to avoid having to pay 39% tariff to import bars from Switzerland if Longs takes delivery. So it's imports from Switzerland.
Specifically. Interesting.
It's all really going, I think, to this. We're seeing the gold price here. Where is my charts here? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull up my charts in real time.
We're pulling up charts. We've become a nerd show.
I'm pulling up my chart boy charts. No, this is just CFDs on gold. Let me zoom out a little bit here for you guys. As you can see, gold is on a tear right now. And if this is the play that they're saying they want to do, oh wait, I didn't pull it up. Sorry, guys. If this is the play, pump gold to all-time highs.
Yes.
Revalue our holdings so they can find a budget neutral way to stack Bitcoin. I don't know. It looks pretty genius. It looks like they're doing exactly this playbook. Now, you guys could say we're speculating, we're conspiracy theorists here, But I don't know, when you see them talk the way they're talking, and even Saylor go out there and basically say, hey, you can't tariff Bitcoin. You probably want to get all of your capital into Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is digital gold. It's better than gold. We're seeing the conversations on Wall Street. Everyone is most likely talking about gold. We're seeing what Saylor's doing with all the MicroStrategy products. We have really become the darling of the ball here, Sophie.
And the fact that there's just like no struggle to move your Bitcoin, really, like when you think about it, not logistically anyway. Like you don't have to get it on a boat or on a plane. You don't have to get, a bunch of people to help you carry it or hide it, or, it's just 12 or 24 words in your mind, and you can have access to your wealth anywhere you want. So, again, as soon as people start understanding that concept, it almost seems too good to be true, right? But as soon as people start getting that, is when like things start clocking for people.
Yeah.
They start to actually want to buy it.
Yeah, 100%. And I like this comment here by Ken. He goes, make no mistakes. There are individuals that understand the fiat system is burning on its last embers. They are creating the new system. Guys, this is exactly what I'm seeing right now.
And what happens if they find more gold?
They're constantly finding more gold.
Exactly.
They're constantly.
So it's like just how they're constantly printing more money.
And this is the signal here again. Shouts out to Dark Mavian Gaming. The government and institutions are stacking up. Don't be left behind. This is the key signal here, guys. Whatever you believe about Bitcoin, whether you believe it's going to be the next world reserve currency, or you just believe, hey, numbers going to go up. Right now, everything I'm seeing is showing this exact thing. The new system is being built as we speak. We know they've been talking about an economic reset for years. Remember Klaus Schwab and his evil, villain costumes at the World Economic Forum going out there like a world economic reset is on the horizon. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's a planned demolition here, but it does seem like there is a concerted effort to pivot away from the system we are. And these governments, these institutions, Wall Street insiders, Larry Finks of the world, they are stacking up on Bitcoin. And we even saw, Jamie Dimon come out here very recently and say the exact same thing. Hey, I don't like Bitcoin, but if you want to buy it, you can continue to buy it. I think the foundation is being laid for a whole new economic system to be built. And of course, part of that is stable coins, but the real Trojan horse here, I believe, is Bitcoin, and everything on the walls being written. It's the Mar-a-Lago Accords is playing out in real time. It is happening right now as we speak. Publicly, they may say one thing. Privately, and from what I see hit the kind of mainstream consciousness, the public, the actions that they're doing is telling me one thing. They want to decrease the purchasing power of the dollar. They want to lower interest rates. They want to stack Bitcoin. And as BRICS nations and other central banks are hoarding gold and trying to buy more and more gold, we may be leaving them the gold bag. We may be pumping it. We're going to revalue the gold, go all in on Bitcoin, and they get left holding a shiny pet rock. And I'm okay with this. I guess, as someone said in here, are we the insiders? I think we are the insiders now, guys. Somehow we became the insiders here on Simply Bitcoin, and you guys watching. It's absolutely insane what we're seeing, guys.
We're still so early. It's actually incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I was watching Jack Cruz this morning, and he was saying something on the lines of like buying Bitcoin today at what is it, 116? He's like, that's the same as me buying it at $200. And at first I'm like, I don't know about that, but I think where we're going, I think he's right.
I think in 10 years we're definitely going to be feeling that way.
I think he's right. Yeah, totally. 100%. All right, guys, I do want to move on. Let's talk about what Jack Dorsey's doing. He's doing some incredible stuff right now.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 5-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledn.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store.
And here we have our beautiful Sat123 Iridium satellite phone. If you're ever stuck in the middle of the apocalypse or just in the middle of the woods with your family, like that happened to my husband once with his dad, you can use one of these phones to literally save your life and the lives of others. So stack your sats, stack your satellite phones, and use the promo code sat123.com/simply to get how much off?
I forget. I'm totally blanking right now.
Listen, put it in your cart, worry about it later.
15%
There you go.
off.
15% off. That's a lot. Put it in your cart, worry about it later. Use our Simply promo code and get yourself one of these.
It is World War Z approved. So that's the real signal here. All right, guys, let's talk about Jack Dorsey. So we got this tweet here yesterday. Jack on Twitter, he just goes next week with a little mining axe, and he is quote tweeting his company, Proto Mining, which is right here, you know, their little blurb. Proto's mission is to decentralize Bitcoin mining and increase access to tools for builders, regardless of their size or location. And they have Meet Proto 8/14/25. And so if you don't know what this Proto company is, what Jack Dorsey's basically other company is doing, is he's on the mission to make ASIC chips in the USA. So if this is coming out next week, then it looks like we have ASIC manufacturing already live in the US. And of course, he said, tune in next week on the mission to decentralize Bitcoin mining, which is, of course, one of the big things that we've been kind of seeing play out recently is this whole idea of, is there a centralization concern in Bitcoin mining? And one of the main kind of choke points was the manufacturing of chips. They're usually all coming out of China. And now it looks like Jack Dorsey has been pushing for this and been building this on the back end. So it looks like next week we will see, you know, the launch of Proto, which is an American-made Bitcoin mining chips, which is going to be huge for the mining and, you know, decentralization of Bitcoin. This is a huge, I think, a huge move here. And here you can just, you know, here's the website, proto.xyz, building the future of Bitcoin mining in America. But this isn't the only thing that is very interesting coming out of Jack Dorsey. We have this come out yesterday. Block, the mother company, of course, that Jack Dorsey has, Square, Cash App, a lot of the Bitcoin kind of facing companies like BitKey, etc. Block surged 10% pre-market as Jack Dorsey's firm extends Saylorization trend. Jack Dorsey's Block added 108 Bitcoin in Q2, pushing total holdings over $1 billion and triggering a near 10% stock surge pre-market. Block joins MicroStrategy and others in accelerating the Saylorization trend, aka corporate Bitcoin buying as a treasury reserve strategy. And then, of course, strong Q2 earnings, Bitcoin revenue, and bullish investor sentiment help Block beat forecast and raise full-year profit outlook. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is not just because they're buying Bitcoin. There is, of course, the other interesting news that we covered last week which is Block will be rolling out Bitcoin payments on Square to I forget how many merchants they have, but it's like 60 million or something, like 6 million. I forget. Don't quote me on that. But this is also a news story that we heard come out yesterday. Block pushes past payments into Bitcoin. So Block aims to be an end-to-end financial hub for both consumers and merchants, integrating peer-to-peer payments, commerce tools, banking services, and Bitcoin capabilities across Cash App and Square. The company reported double-digit profit growth, raised its forecast, and saw significant volume gains. And here's like an interesting quote here. In CEO Jack Dorsey's words, the company is, quote, back on offense. So this is a lot of things going on right now. Block focusing on course Bitcoin banking, and it's all kind of aligning. A lot of stuff Jack Dorsey's doing, maybe for a little while, it seemed like, why is he kind of doing all of this different stuff in different avenues? It seems like it's all coming together here. And of course, the Block being a, quote, I would say, with a lack of better description, a Bitcoin bank, you're starting to see that the foundations are being built and put in real time. But another interesting news coming out of El Salvador, Bitcoin banks are coming to El Salvador as well. So as much as we're seeing Wall Street embrace Bitcoin, as we're almost seeing Saylor become a central bank here, we are seeing some active on-the-ground movements to make real Bitcoin banks, decentralized Bitcoin mining. So kudos to Jack Dorsey, everything he's doing. He's doing incredible work here.
I'm surprised that he's kind of like the first person to get on this, or notable at least. I'm sure that there's probably some other entrepreneurs out there that are getting on this, but I was recalling in the back of my mind the archives of news headlines. In 2022, wasn't there like a CHIPS Act or something that was passed?
Yeah, I don't know if it passed, but there was some deliberation around that.
Right. And I mean, isn't there a chance for the US to kind of subsidize some of these chips and semiconductors? So, I mean, if Trump, one of the things that he ran on when he came to the Bitcoin conference in Nashville was that he wanted to make the US the pioneer of Bitcoin mining. So definitely can't be the pioneer if we're getting all of our chips from China. And while I know that this is initiative that the Biden administration came up with, I think that, you know, he should definitely, if it hasn't been completed, he should definitely make it happen, because if we can throw some of our funding behind manufacturing chips, like, you know, how Apple is investing $600 billion in manufacturing iPhones in the US, I think that that will be a super worthy endeavor for us to, you know, continue being the lead here, right, in Bitcoin mining.
Well, it is all aligning, Sophie, with the idea of making America the Bitcoin superpower. It's not just coming from the federal government. Of course, it comes from entrepreneurs like Jack Dorsey himself and everyone else that's a part of this industry. So, hey, man, I don't know. You know, I was last year, Soph, I know you were part of the conversations. We were feeling very bearish on the US and talking about moving.
Well, last year,
I still think we can still have that convo, but I'm feeling kind of bullish.
Last year there was a lot hanging on the balance, right? Or yeah, on the ballot sheet. Literally and figuratively. I mean, we could have ended up with an administration that would continue choke point 2.0 and would keep putting obstacles behind the, you know, purchasing and holding of Bitcoin. So, you know, it's going all our way now. Like, this is, if you would have told me that this was happening a year ago, I would have never believed you, because it almost sounds too good to be true. And I know that the price doesn't reflect it, but like a lot of these things, let's be real, aren't fully priced in. You know, they're all positioning us in the right way, but they haven't been fully executed. And, you know, I think that once it gets to September and we have to like actually start printing money, or like, you know, bust, we're gonna see the fruits of our labor reflected in the price.
You know, Jay Powell, if you're listening,
Just listen to Janet, bro.
Jay Powell, if you can hear me.
This is the first and only time I'm gonna tell you this.
If you can hear me right now, We want 3 rate cuts starting in September. pump our bags, please, sir. This would be a good thing. I'm okay with this, though maybe not for everyone, but it would definitely be a good thing for us.
It's okay. It's a little hard medicine for everyone to take.
Yeah. People need to feel the pain. It is what it is. Anyways, let's chat about what corporate media is saying about Bitcoin and its cycles. It's pretty interesting.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
All right, before we get into this article, Sophie, I didn't realize everyone in the chat is such a huge fan of Jay Powell cutting rates. I think we're all Jerome Powell maxis. Please cut rates, sir.
We will. I promise you, we'll stop talking shit about you. We
won't. We totally won't.
Well, we will. Actually, I might.
Yeah.
I might. If he makes those rate cuts, I'll be like, you know what, Jay Powell, I get that you're the head of like probably the most evil institution in the world. Not the most evil, but like, you know, the one that started it all. But since you did those rate cuts, you did me a solid. I'm just gonna shut my mouth. You know, I'm happy that you did what you did.
As Randall says here, just print us into oblivion already.
Yes,
stop edging us here.
Just like stop hiding behind this facade of like, no, we're the Fed. We're going to regulate the economy because that is our job. Yeah, okay, get out of here. Like, we know that you're gonna print anyway.
Just turn on the money printer. Just turn it on. Come on. Okay, all right. Anyways, I just wanted to point out that the chat really loves Jay Powell printing. This is funny. We're all Fed watchers now. We're Fed watchers. Anyways, check out this headline, guys. I find it hilarious, and also I'm gonna probably have to reevaluate my stance moving forward here, but let me just read the article and then we'll chat about it. So we have CNBC this morning tweeting a major historical Bitcoin cycle that dictates its price might be breaking. Bitcoin is typically traded in a 4-year price cycle centered around an event called the halving. But more recently, that cycle, which has often had a predictable pattern, has shown signs of breaking or even disappearing altogether. A number of factors, including Bitcoin ETFs, the shifting nature of investors, and supportive regulation have created changes to the cycle. Now, I don't have to read this whole thing because you guys know what this is.
Yeah, because we invented this narrative.
Seriously. But we have a good quote here from Matt Hogan of Bitwise. He goes, quote, it's not officially over until we see positive returns in 2026, but I think we will. So let's say this. I think the 4-year cycle is over. It goes into the 4-year cycle. You know, it's talking about the fact I've been saying this. I don't have to kind of revamp this article, but I think
it's kind of nice to be validated by the big head honchos at CNBC. Also, maybe if they're saying it, it's like totally off mark because they never know what they're talking about anyway. But it's still, you know, it feels like when BlackRock started buying Bitcoin, I'm like, damn, like I hate you, but also like thank you for finally doing the thing that we've all been saying that you should do.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to officially retract my statements of the 4-year cycle being dead. You guys have heard kind of me make that case recently on the show that it does seem that ever since the Bitcoin ETFs were launched, that the Bitcoin market structure has changed. And I did do an awesome interview with James Check, aka Checkmatey, on Twitter, and he also kind of agrees that like, not that this time is different in the sense of like this is a different cycle, but he would always say like this time is different because every time is different. There's, you know, what's the saying? You can't step into the same river twice. And it does look, if you look at the chart, ever since the ETF was launched, it does look like we are entering this new cycle or new market structure where it's like a stepwise function. Wait, which way? I always mess this up because it's backwards. It's wait, no. This it goes up and then it goes sideways and it goes up and it goes sideways
this way.
Yeah, that's the structure we are seeing right now. And actually, here, look, I don't want to get too chart boy here. I already got chart boy on you guys, but
Yeah.
we're gonna get a little chart boy.
I have a little bit of a new refreshed
hot take
perspective. What if this you know how like they say that over time the halving is going to become like instead of 4 years 3 years?
No, I haven't heard that. Who said that?
Or I don't know, like I've heard that before where like the timing of the halving like gets shorter over longer periods of time and it gets closer to 3 years.
I don't think so. That's only if the hash rate increases, but it's always the same 210,000 blocks, so it's roughly every 4 years. All right, guys.
Never mind.
This is
I was gonna say, what if the cycles are just getting longer instead of 4 years? It's every 6 years.
I have been saying that it does seem like the cycles are getting elongated, but there is. I mean, maybe what you were thinking of is as these halvings occur and the Bitcoin that is released into the network kind of get diminished in the amount of coins that are distributed into the network, they probably won't have an effect on the price like they used to, which could potentially lead us to these elongated cycles here. But we have you know, I've been saying this for a minute. If you look at the Bitcoin price here, this is the monthly at Bitstamp. We have boom, bust, boom, bust, boom, kind of boom, bust. And then now we're just kind of going step up, step up, step up. Maybe we're going to see another step up. And I've been saying this looks like the S&P 500. And now I'm going to have to change that view because if CNBC is saying this, then it's not what's going to happen. But you can see a similar structure. It just keeps going up and to the right, booms, busts. It's kind of in this stepwise function. So I'm going to have to officially retract my views here, guys. I think the 4-year cycle is in effect. We are going to get a bear market in 2026.
I think that it might be elongated. Check it out. I don't think that it's the cycles are dead. I just think that they are breaking the mold of what we usually have seen. You know?
Yeah. No, I think that is the signal here. I think that's what we're all kind of seeing.
I think it's going to be like, instead of having these like up into like steep God candles that we've seen before, like that's probably not going to happen anymore.
Wait, keep going. Where's my soundboard one? Where's the good one? Where's the one I'm looking? Oh, here we go. Guys, no more bull markets. No more fun bull markets.
No more fun bull markets where we were totally right, which is so weird because like when all of the news is in our favor, this is when we should be getting God candles, but it's almost making it so that it's like evening the playing field out. But the good news is you might just see a longer bull run. And at the end of the day, like, you got to see the pros in that. That is going to stabilize Bitcoin, and it's going to make it so that people actually adopt it at a faster rate. And if people stop seeing it as like this volatile thing because they don't understand cycles, they don't understand patterns, whatever, like, it's not really like our fault that you don't understand patterns. Like, you can learn that in kindergarten. But now they're like, oh, it hasn't gone up too much, it hasn't got, maybe I should buy some Bitcoin, maybe I should like, whatever. This is good for the normies is what I'm trying to tell you.
No,
it's good for the normies. And
really
the more
is.
normies buy Bitcoin, the better it is for all of us who got in early. So
yeah, no, that is the case that Checkmatey was saying, is like, yes, maybe we're not going to see 100x rallies in a parabolic blow off top, but that also means we're not going to see 80% drawdowns. And if you're looking at the price structure right now, it does seem like we are, quote unquote, seeing less volatility, maybe to the upside, but also to the downside. And if we do go in this stepwise function, we are going to be bored to death to $1 million. So, it's kind of I'll take the good with the bad here, but no, seriously though, I actually do kind of agree with this article, though. I don't really want to. Now I feel like this is an inverse Kramer kind of scenario where I'm going to have to readjust how I view this here. So
And
I'll come back on Monday and we'll talk about it.
That's usually how it goes. Inverse Kramer, inverse institution, whatever they say, the opposite will happen. It's kind of like a Murphy's Law sort of situation. Nobody has a crystal ball. But if the institutions, especially the mainstream media, is reporting on something that maybe we don't know, maybe there is a big move that is happening or something. I don't know.
They're not reporting
all
on
we can do
anything
is
we don't
speculate.
know.
This is all entertainment. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, this
in
is
the
not
chat
financial
below.
advice.
Yeah, this is not financial advice. Let us know what you think in the chat. And also smash the like button. Shout out to all
The
406
2,104 of you guys watching.
Oh, my bad.
You're looking at the YouTube.
My numbers were not refreshed. My bad. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter. Thanks for all the support. Like I said, if you're liking the show, smash the like button.
Follow our Twitter.
Yes, very important.
Rumble, YouTube, all that stuff. There is a good comment here, and I think this is kind of the takeaway. I think this is what we're all looking at right now. Whether you like it or not, whether you aren't really happy that Wall Street is here, et cetera, like, the institutions have fundamentally changed the game now. And I don't really want to be this time is different, because I'm probably come back in 6 months and be like, okay, I was wrong, guys. I got caught up in the hype. But we are seeing that the institutions have changed the game. And especially when you kind of consider everything we're seeing from the Trump administration, things have fundamentally changed right now. Now, will the Mar-a-Lago Accords kind of play out as we're seeing? Obviously, we have no crystal ball. We have no idea what's going on, really. But from what we are seeing, it does seem like things are fundamentally changing right now with the institutions here, with a different type of investor in the market. We are starting to see some wonky things play out. So maybe CNBC guys are actually watching this show. So maybe they are hanging out with us on Bitcoin Twitter.
No, let's be real. This is an intern who's watching and being like, let's type this into a very professionally worded article. We love you guys. We love the interns at all of the legacy media. Keep watching us. Keep doing what you do. And more importantly, keep pumping our bags. Let those boomers know that it's safe to buy Bitcoin, because if they hear it from us, they're going to think we're crazy. But if they hear it from you, the people in suits, we don't know how high Bitcoin could go.
Maybe Nico was right. Maybe we just got to wear a suit every single day and they'll take us seriously.
I've been buying for the suits, even just like ironically. I think that would be so hilarious. Like, I think you guys should do that. Didn't you do that on April Fool's once?
No, I didn't own a suit until like 2 months ago. I was wearing a coat. Okay. It's a nice coat. It's a wool coat. It's cold. It's cold in Dallas, I
think you guys should do suits until 200K.
No. How about
fine, 150?
How about no suits ever?
Boring.
All right, guys. Well, Legacy Media in the chat now. Legacy Media is hanging out in Simply Bitcoin chat. They're stealing their notes from us, and then they get a bigger audience. We should ask for royalties here.
And CNBC, if you guys are watching this, share the show with your friends and loved ones. It definitely helps us, which, you know, then helps you guys. So, you know, it's a win-win. Share the show.
It's a win-win. Opti hates the suit. It's true, dude. Now, I actually do like it. Feels good when you wear a suit. Like you feel
only
good.
On Sundays.
You feel only if you know, you know. You feel good when you wear a suit. I just don't want to wear a suit every single day at work. I like what we used to do, where literally we'd be in our boxers and a t-shirt. Like, come on, guys, can we not change?
Miss the COVID days where Zoom chats were, you know, just from here up.
Yeah, seriously.
JK, we still do that.
Guys, sorry, we have a friend here, a little dog. Anyways, guys, let's wrap up today's show. So, as you can see, of course, the wonderful, the new star of Simply Bitcoin, Sophie, is co-hosting with me. Nico was too tired on his travels to Riga to come on the show, but he will be back next week. We'll be back to kind of our normal schedule. Sophie is going to keep dropping shows for you guys. I think we haven't fully figured out her new rebrand here, but just know she's going to be dropping a show. I think, is it once a week?
I think next week I'm actually going to be covering for Dante.
Oh, so, big shoes to fill. Literally.
Yeah, very big shoes.
Literally.
But yeah, I'm excited to be on the channel and talk more about the things that we love. And I'm also going to be having my own show. Like Opti said, we're figuring out the branding and all of those details. So yeah, be prepared to see more of me soon.
Yeah, Sophie's killing it, guys. And go watch her latest video. It's absolutely ripping right now. She did an incredible job. Shouts out to the whole team behind Sophie that makes it happen. Shouts out to everyone at Simply Bitcoin, but really shouts out to every single one of you guys. We wouldn't be here without you guys. We love you guys. We love the support. I even love you guys trolling me every single day. It truly makes my day. It actually does.
It means you care.
Yeah, you guys spike my cortisol, and I deal with it, but I love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Again, it is Friday. So what do I always say? So get outside, touch some grass, eat some good food, call your loved ones.
It's Friday. Go out.
Stack some Bitcoin.
Oh, and if you want to go out, download the Orange Pill app so that you can make friends who also stack sats. Like they say, stack friends who stack sats. Download the Orange Pill app today.
Wow, Black Mirror's episode in real time. Crazy.
I'm such a professional.
Crazy. You guys know which Black Mirror's episode I'm talking about too. All right, guys, on that note, peace out. We will see you on Monday. Well, we'll see you on Monday here on the live show, but make sure you check out the content dropping on the weekend. We got Oceans, and I believe it's Dante this week.
It might be me.
I think it's Rustin and Oceans this weekend, and we'll be back on Monday. Peace out, guys. We love you.
Peace.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.